Strangles. This video is dangerous, so please don't play with it at home. Be very careful when you train. It's not a game, this is actually can cause damage. So be very careful and don't work with somebody you don't trust. And if you don't trust yourself, so work very easily in moderate rate and don't try to overstep too fast. Slowly. So basically we have two things we want to strangle. Two things we want to stop when we are strangling somebody. The first is airflow, the second is blood flow. Okay? For closing the airflow, we need to close the tube, the air tube, with pressure, and to stop the blood flow to the brain, we have two on both sides of the head. We have arteries. We must shut down both arteries so the blood stop flowing to the head. Not one of them, two of them. If I only do this is not strangling. You still get blood from this side. What are the differences? Let's start with airflow. When we strangle somebody's, when we stop somebody's airflow, he has still oxygen in his blood. So we need about half a minute of pressure to strangle somebody's airflow, to stop him from really breathing, for stopping his brain from functioning as needed. So it takes time to apply this sort of strangle. But the upside, from our point of view as somebody who is strangling the other side, is that the recovering also takes time from this, from airflow suffocating. So what we want to do is apply pressure here on the air tube. There are many ways of doing so. Basically, we can apply pressure with this. You see my thumbs? Very important. I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, and I pull the fingers away because I want to grab his pipe and press. You see, it's very not pleasant. So Fear is a friend and he's allowing me to, helps me showing you, but be very careful, it's very unpleasant. So this is one. Be careful, you don't want to break the tube. It's sort of gentle tissue. So be careful. You can grab it here beneath the jaw, grab like this, and if you do this and turn around, you can break the windpipe. So again, be very careful, don't do it to your friends. You see, he's laughing because he knows how to accept pain with laughter and not with tears.
And because I think this is very cool, and this specific angle is something that I never thought on before.
This is very cool. Kung Fu is cool. Tell to your friends. Of course, we can apply direct pressure with some sort of hardware, like a stick. So of course he will do this, he will move, but if I will do this, he won't. Another thing possible for this, cross. You see, this is from the forward position. I block his air with my forearm, but this also applies great pain and great stress on his spine. Another direction, of course, is here, from behind. And of course you can just control him entirely when you grab him. You can do this with a pen. or a pencil. You don't have to have this kind of stick with you. So this is very good if you grab it. But this is not the important thing. So any type of direct pressure on the windpipe works. Of course, from behind with your entire all fingers and just press again this sort of movement. A nice one. I can just grab his skin and pull his skin, and this apply pressure on his windpipe. Of course, from behind, if I use my forearm, it's not slippery, it's not this grab. This works on his blood flow. It's this grab with my forearm on his neck. Direct pressure on the windpipe. This is the basics strangling of the airflow. The second type is blood flow strangling, and this is different. This applies very quickly because when I strangle his airflow, he still had oxygen in his blood. When I strangle his blood flow, the oxygen in his body doesn't reach his brain at all. So this is, see, this is painful, and this is very quick. You need about 5 seconds of very good strangling to get somebody lose his consciousness, as you see in UFC. And the recovery is also fast. You see, they fall down, fall asleep, and wake up pretty fast. So this is important difference between this and the airflow strangling. So what we want to do is apply pressure on both arteries on both sides of the neck. The simplest is just like this. 1, 2, with the fingers. 3, with what I did with the skin, I pull and press together. I do this on his neck. Here on the spine, I grab here and I pull with my fingers. I grab him and pull. This is very painful. Of course, I can just grab his tendon here, and this is very, very painful. So if you remember chop choy, this is grab, like skin grab. This is also very, very painful. So we had the basic idea. Of course, I can do with forearms. If he strikes me, you know, 1 and 2. What happens here is that this forearm pressing this side of the neck, and his shoulder, I press his neck to his shoulder to cause his blood flow from stopping, from flowing to the brain. So another thing, you can use weapons as you've seen before. This was for the air. If you do it on the side with a cross, I just stop his blood flow. One side is a stick, the other side the forearms. See? Stick, stop, stick and forearms. And this sent him for a lullaby. This classical suffocating, again, I block his arteries and I press strongly. This is where his windpipe is, and this here is where his blood flows, or not. Of course, again, grab from the side, works perfectly. So those are the basics. All the things you can do are just variations of this. You can also do combined suffocating, combined strangling. For example, you can use a lace or a rope and just hang him, but this close everything, the airflow and blood flow. Again, you can use your hands and just squeeze it all together. If you grab the skin, you actually grab them all together, you see? Airflow and blood. Here. Of course, from here, again, if his neck is in the right size for my hands. It's not always this way. He might have a really big neck, so it's less possible. This sort of strangle, his windpipe is here on my wrist, and what I'm doing is this movement. I pull towards myself and I pull the elbows down. I pull the elbows down because if this was for his airflow and this was for the blood flow, I want them both. So I need to close the airflow here with my wrist, and I need to apply pressure with my forearms around his neck. So this becomes very useful strangling technique. You can train it by hugging street lights and pulling them towards you, and this is not a joke. Those are the basics. There are a lot of other kinds of strangling techniques, but they are all the same. You can use your legs to make the triangle. Another good technique is when you are on the ground, just press his face with your chest. Basically what you do, and this is also a strangling technique, is this. I close his mouth and nose, prevent him from breathing. This is exactly like closing his windpipe, because he won't breathe through his ears. So it's funny, but this, you see, I close his mouth and nose. This works perfectly. It's not nice. It's even offensive, but Kfir will forgive me.